Men claim to understand women, but most can't even understand themselves. That's not a quote from Plato, but if you read his works with honest eyes, you'll see this truth running through everything he taught. Plato never wrote dating advice. He wasn't handing out tips on how to get a woman to text back. No, Plato went deeper. He exposed the root disease, the untrained mind of man. The real enemy isn't her. It's you blind to the forces pulling your strings. Think back to the allegory of the cave from the Republic. Prisoners chained, staring at shadows. They think the shadows are real. They worship the illusion. They build their lives on lies. What Plato doesn't say outright, but what screams beneath the surface, is that not all those shadows are political or social. Some of the most powerful shadows are personal, emotional, psychological. One of the biggest, woman, not the real woman, but the idea of her, the illusion of her, the mental projection men chase. See, men don't fall for women. They fall for their own fantasies. A smile becomes love. A touch becomes destiny. A glance becomes validation. But to Plato, this is nothing more than a man in chains, calling them wings. He warned that true wisdom starts with admitting you know nothing. The beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms. Yet, how many men define woman by how she looks, how she makes them feel, what she posts online? Do you analyze her influence with the same intensity you give to business or battle? Number. That's why she doesn't need to manipulate you. She just has to exist, and your own illusions do the rest. You hand her power, then call it love. You sacrifice your purpose, then call it devotion. You obey your appetite, and call it romance. And the tragedy? You think it's noble. Plato said, the worst of all deceptions is self-deception. That's what's really happening. It's not about her manipulating you. It's about you manipulating yourself. She smiles, you melt. She pulls away, you chase. You tell yourself it's love, fate, soulmates. But Plato would just shake his head, because this isn't love. It's addiction. It's enslavement to your lowest self. In Phaedrus, Plato compares the soul to a chariot pulled by two horses, one noble, one wild. The noble horse wants truth, discipline, purpose. The wild one, pleasure, beauty, temptation. Guess which one most men let lead? You don't question the wild horse. You don't resist. You call it chemistry. You call it falling. But Plato called it madness. A divine madness, sure, but madness, all the same. Unless you master it, it will master you. And here's the kicker. Women know this. Maybe not in some sinister, conscious way, but instinctively, absolutely. She knows how easily a weak man gives up everything for a compliment, a touch, a glance. She doesn't have to be cruel. She just has to exist in your mind as the goal. And once that happens, you lose. You stop seeing her clearly. You start projecting. You're not looking at her. You're looking at your fantasy. And that fantasy owns you. You think she's the one playing the game. But the truth is, the game started long before she showed up. The real game is the war within you between your higher self and your base desires. And every time you choose the fantasy over the truth, you lose. Not because of her, because of you. Plato wrote, "The just man does not permit the lustful part of his soul to dominate him." But modern men have flipped that. You try to negotiate with your lust. You hope she'll choose you, validate you, complete you. But that's not love. That's slavery. That's you trading your integrity for a feeling. You've left one cave just to build another. One made of velvet chains and golden illusions. So let me ask you straight. When was the last time you questioned why you chase women? When was the last time you asked if she's leading you toward truth or dragging you into illusion? Most men never ask, because asking requires courage. It means admitting you were wrong. It means seeing your fantasy for what it really is, a shadow. Plato knew this. He understood society is built on stories, myths designed to keep people obedient. And nowhere is this myth stronger than the one men are told about women. She completes you. She's your better half. She holds the keys to your happiness. Lies. Comforting lies. In the Republic, Plato says the masses must be ruled by those who've seen the truth. The problem is most men never even look for it. They never rule themselves. And if you can't rule yourself, you'll always be ruled by someone else. Let's break this down even further. Plato believed the soul has 3 parts: reason, your wisdom, clarity, logic; spirit, your pride, drive, energy; appetite, your cravings, urges, desires. When it comes to women, most men live entirely in appetite. She smiles, you feel good. She replies, you feel alive. She touches you, you call it fate. But that's the lowest version of you. That's the version Plato said must be ruled or it will ruin you. This is why a woman doesn't need to be smarter than you to own you. She doesn't have to be stronger, more strategic, or even cruel. All she needs to do is feed your appetite. Just give you a taste and you'll sell your soul for more. Like a man dying of thirst in a desert, you'll crawl, beg, sacrifice everything just to feel something. Still think I'm exaggerating? Look around. Men abandon their purpose for a fling. Men destroy their marriages for a stranger's validation. Men kill themselves because she left. This isn't romance, it's rot. Plato warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Read that again. You can be rich, popular, ripped, but if a woman's glance can break you, you are still in chains. Plato didn't just warn about individuals. He warned about whole civilizations. In the Laws, he wrote that the fall of a city begins when men let pleasure rule over discipline. Look around. What do you see? A society of men sacrificing their strength for likes, attention, approval, in politics, in entertainment, even in spirituality. Everywhere men apologizing, submitting, shrinking not for truth, not for justice, but for fear of losing her. And here's the critical point. Plato never taught men to hate women. He taught men to see. The woman is not the enemy. She's the mirror. She reflects the chaos inside you, the parts you haven't mastered. She plays the game only because you invited her into the arena, desperate, blind, and unprepared. But here's the thing. You can flip the script. You can rise from the cave. You can reclaim your mind, your mission, your masculinity. But only if you face the truth. Most men run from the truth about yourself. You want to know why women test men? It's not malice, it's instinct. She tests to reveal the weakness already in you. She withholds to see if you'll beg. She challenges to see if you'll fold. She flirts to see if you'll forget your values. She's not breaking you. She's exposing you. Plato writes in Gorgias that it's better to suffer injustice than to commit it. Why? Because the man who commits it shows he has no mastery over his own soul. That's what you do every time you chase her at the cost of yourself. Every time you betray your values, sacrifice your mission, abandon your truth just to win her approval, you're not loving her. You're violating yourself. And Plato makes it clear. Betrayal of self is the root of all injustice. Why do tyrants rise? Why do empires fall? Because men lose the ability to rule themselves. Because they chase pleasure instead of purpose. Because they run from light and bow to shadows. And women, consciously or not, sense this. She challenges you, not to destroy you, but to reveal you, to see what you're made of. If she can break your boundaries, she knows you are not fit to lead, not fit to stand, not fit to love. A man who cannot govern himself cannot govern anything. Not his career, not his household, not his future. Plato spoke of the philosopher, king the one fit to lead. Why? Because he had mastered himself first. He chose truth over comfort, principle over pleasure. If you want to rise, be that man. Not the player, not the pick-me, not the emotional slave. Be the philosopher, the ruler of your inner kingdom. Can you look into her eyes and see? Not a goddess, not an enemy, but a reflection. Can you admire her without collapsing? Can you love her without losing yourself? If you can, you've done what most men never will. You've conquered the war within. And when you do, you'll see clearly, she is not your purpose. She is not your salvation. She is not your master. She is the mirror. That's it. And when you stand grounded, clear, whole, you won't fear the games. You'll rise above them. Most men are terrified of losing a woman. Plato warned you, the thing you should really fear is losing your soul. In Phaedrus, he said, the soul takes on the character of the actions it pursues. If you chase vanity, your soul becomes vain. If you chase pleasure, your soul becomes weak. If you chase her attention, your soul becomes small. But if you chase truth, you rise. Every time you betray your principles to please her, your soul shrinks. Every time you silence your truth to avoid her rejection, your soul breaks. Every time you surrender your path to follow her approval, your soul forgets what it was born to do. You've been told all your life, fight for her. Don't give up on love. Make her your queen. But Plato warned you. In the Republic, he says, the masses are ruled by persuasive flatterers. Who flatters a man's ego more than a woman who knows exactly what he wants to hear? Validation is the leash, and you're the dog. Women have figured this out, not always consciously, but deeply. She doesn't need to argue, doesn't need to overpower you. She just needs to feel like the prize hand. If you've made her your god, you'll destroy yourself for one more drop of her approval. That's not strength. That's not love. That's addiction. Plato saw it coming. When men abandon discipline for pleasure, collapse follows. That's not a theory. That's history. But he also offered the cure. Climb out of the cave, face the light, even if it burns, especially if it burns. And most of all, see her as she is. Not as a fantasy, not as your purpose, just a woman, a reflection, a test. Can you pass it? Because until you face that test with honesty, until you stop worshiping her and start mastering you, you'll always be played. Not by her, but by your own weakness. Here's the final truth. She isn't destroying you. She's revealing you. The game isn't hers. It's yours. And the player isn't her. It's the undisciplined version of you, dragging you down. But when you rise, when you lead your mind, rule your emotions, hold your line, you become what Plato called the just man. And the just man, he cannot be broken. He cannot be played. Because he no longer plays the game at all.